right now, here in Game 2, Whiskey Badger, we're finally going to get to see his warrior in action. Pretty obvious that it's a patron warrior, as signified by the patron right there. And now Chance with his rogue, which drew really well against the paladin opponent earlier. He had double backstab to clear out those mini-bots, and those were really huge for him. So we'll see if he can get a phenomenal start like he had earlier in this matchup. Both players just went ahead and passed their turn 1, so Whiskey Badger free to drop the Armor Smith here on turn 2. Chance had a couple of plays. He could have gone with the Blood Mage if he wanted. Didn't seem very strong there. The only reason for playing that would have been if you wanted to draw a card. Now he's going to have to try to find an answer for this Frothing, or it can get out of hand very quickly, and it's not a minion you really want to chip away at either. So you're going to have the Coin Violet T-shirt to somewhat contest it. But it also allows Whiskey Badger to use this Despite here and really farm some damage and some armor and clear off the Violet Teacher pretty effectively. So now that Frothing has gotten decently buffed, gained 3 attack because of how Whiskey Badger sequenced those attacks in the correct order. So now Chance has a couple options here to clear that. He can start with the Blood Mage Thalnos. Or he can go with the South Sea Deckhand to kind of clear that off a little bit with the help of the Phantom Knives and the Blood Mage. So that Phantom Knives is going to do 2 damage to everything on board. And now I can run that South Sea Deckhand in to clear off the Frothing. So that seems like a pretty good play. This Blood Mage Thalnos not a great target for the Despite, so if that eats up the second charge, or if Whiskey Badger swings face with that, either way he's able to eliminate that Despite from the field of play. So Whiskey Badger decides to hold the weapon swing, makes a lot of sense. And Chance not wanting Whiskey Badger's Despite to get more value than it already is, he's going to go ahead and cash in that Blood Mage Thalnos. So that's why he made that trade in there. Because if he doesn't make that attack then and there, the Whirlwind from the Despite will obviously kill the Blood Mage Thalnos, and it's just free value for Whiskey Badger. So that's why he decided to cash that in there. But Whiskey Badger, with both of those Acolytes of Pain, able to kind of refill his hand very nicely, and he's kind of starting to curve out pretty well. It did prevent him from playing the Patrons, which he could have gone with last turn if he wanted to, and use it to use the Despite to propagate that, but he's going to decide to hold off on that for a little bit. Maybe potentially playing around a board clear from Chance, so kind of filling up the board in this manner to try to bait out a Blade Flurry. The Deadly Poison Blade Flurry is a really good way to clear off Patrons. So Chance had another board clear in mind, and it says using his resources very well and very effectively, he's able to deal with that board without using a Blade Flurry. He has the sap to send this Dr. Boom back at Whiskey Badger. Seems like a pretty good play. He could do the Violet Teacher first, so he starts to produce some minions. Debating on the Azure Drake as well. The spell power, not especially helpful this turn, but with the Eviscerate that he drew into, he's going to go with that play instead. So he's going to decide to eviscerate that Dr. Boom as opposed to just stalling out with the sap. So we all know that Boombots don't like Azure Drakes, but that one tended to be pretty partial to it, so it just went face instead of killing off the Azure Drake. Leaves the target for Whiskey Badger's Despite. And now he's able to put a decent amount of pressure on Chance, so he's going to have some more clears and try to avoid taking as much face damage as possible. The backstab will help him a little bit. He's got the backstab Blade Flurry if he wants to take it. That will clear the board, but the Boombot will go face if he doesn't play a minion before that. So he might opt for this Violet Teacher first again, just to kind of give that a target. And now with this backstab, he's got a couple better targets than his face for the Boombot to hit. So we'll see where that goes. That could be make a big difference in this game. Chance doesn't know it, but the Grom Hellscream in Whiskey Badger's hand is going to finish this game off on this turn. He will attack first with the weapon, which will proc the Enrage on the Grom. So not difficult sequencing, but he did a correct. And now that will give Whiskey Badger game 2, so he will tie up the series at 1 game apiece. And him and his warrior are locked out for the remainder of the match, so he will have to switch to his mage, which was the freeze mage, if I'm not mistaken. Or we can go back to the warlock that we saw a little bit ago.